I literally need to get this off my chest. I feel like I'm going insane. My fiancée, Sarah, 28, female, and me, 34, male, have known each other for about 6 years. Engaged for 1. Our wedding is scheduled to take place in just 2 weeks. And I just witnessed something that is making me feel like I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. Tonight, Sarah and I were taking a rare opportunity to relax at home. Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner while I was out back working on one of my projects. We live on acreage and I am building a pagoda fire pit in the backyard that we are planning on using this fall. Anyway, as you do when you're doing heavy labor, I get thirsty and come back to the house to get a drink where I see Sarah at the counter, preparing dinner and talking on speakerphone. I recognize the voice instantly as my brother-in-law, Marty. Now, this is where my brain gets totally twisted. Marty asks Sarah where her sister Evelyn is as he's been trying to get in contact with her. And she's not answering texts. And I hear Sarah say to him, "She just left here. She should be home in a half an hour or so." It should be noted that Evelyn is Marty's wife of 5 years. I have to admit that I didn't immediately register what she had just said because I went into the kitchen and grabbed a glass and asked Sarah, "What was that all about?" And she responds with, "Marty was looking for Evie." I see her texting and I ask her, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm texting Evie that Marty was looking for her." Anyway, I poured myself a drink. Sit down, have a sip, and then finally my brain starts to work. First off, I heard Sarah tell Marty that Evelyn was here. Evelyn was not here. And the last time we saw her was yesterday when she came over to work on some last-minute wedding decorations stuff with Sarah. Secondly, why is she texting Evelyn and expecting a response when I distinctly heard Marty that Evelyn wasn't answering her texts? Lastly, why the hell would she tell Marty that Evelyn should be back in 30 minutes unless she either knows where she is? Then why did she lie? Or she is right now in front of me texting her to tell her to get her butt home quickly. The only conclusion that I came up with is that Sarah is lying to Marty about the whereabouts of her sister, his wife, and is probably warning that Marty will expect her home in half an hour and then spent probably the next 5 hours concocting various explanations for this behavior. Some decent, some downright horrible, and playing them back in my head. I wanted really badly to ask Sarah about this, but at the same time, if what I think is going on, then I doubted I'd get a straight answer. Which brings me to about an hour ago. I woke up around 1 a.m. to use the toilet and I couldn't resist the urge to check Sarah's phone. We both know each other's pins, so this wasn't a difficult thing to do. Anyway, I grabbed the phone, retreated to the bathroom and unlocked it, and, yep, it was exactly what I was afraid of and probably what most of you were expecting. Sarah's sister Evelyn has been having an affair for about 6 months with a coworker, and Sarah has been helping Evelyn cover it up for almost that entire time. There are literally hundreds of texts between them discussing it, discussing the coworker, discussing sex stuff, really embarrassing things about my brother-in-law, and probably uncharitable just stuff that makes my stomach churn. And here's my soon-to-be wife going along with all of it without batting an eye. I took some screenshots of the entire thread, put the phone back where I found it, then retreated to my home office to find myself here, typing it all out on Reddit simply so I can avoid the primal scream that once it came out of my mouth right now. I am totally 100% screwed. Reddit. I cannot marry Sarah. I just cannot do it. I can't think of any reasonable excuse she could offer me about assisting her sister in this affair and victimizing not only Marty, but their 2-year-old daughter as well. On the other hand, myself, my family, Sarah and her family have all sunk an enormous amount of money into a wedding that is supposed to happen in around 2 weeks. There's no way we are getting any of that money back on top of that. I feel like an absolute fool. Like, how did I not know this woman was like this? And what the hell am I going to do? I can't marry her. I absolutely cannot. However, I still want to. She's beautiful and fun and kind. And I thought we had a bright future ahead of us. She's never done anything wrong to me, but I just can't see her the same now. It's like a big black stain on an otherwise beautiful picture. I just don't know how the F I got this so wrong, and I'm absolutely dreading what I know I need to do. I feel like I want to vomit or break something. Edit guys. You don't need to convince me to not marry Sarah. That's obvious. The wedding is off. I'm just trying to figure out my next steps and work up the nerve to do it. There's an incredible amount of pressure on me from the expectations of everyone, but I'm not going to buckle under it. I'm just not relishing having to deal with the fallout. And I'm more than a little angry that I'm in this situation. Edit to. It's 5 a.m. I have to work in 3 hours and I'm running off a couple of hours of sleep. I'm going to take a shower and head into work a little early to avoid Sarah and stew on this. Thanks to the support of people here and a big raspberry to the dills who keep saying I should figure out whatever good reason my soon-to-be ex-fiancé they had with this garbage. Edit 3. I got into work around 7. No one was in the office, so I decided to start pulling off the band-aid and I called my brother. He lives in Australia, so he was still up and having just put his kids to bed. It was heartbreaking the news to him about this because I know he had laid out a huge amount of money for flights for him and his family to come. But to his credit, as an older brother, he didn't mention it one time and just backed me up. He made a great point, too. He said, totally paraphrasing, "You work in a job where you have to deal with liars and scammers day in and day out. I don't blame you for wanting to have someone to go where this isn't a concern." He was totally right about that. And I get now why I'm reacting so strongly to Sarah's participation in this deceit. He also has a great idea. He's going to take his family down to Florida to do some sightseeing and visit the parks. Well, now the kids will be accompanied by their uncle as well. It should be easy since we were going to honeymoon there as well, and we were planning on meeting them for a bit anyway. I'll just rebook everything to be closer to him and his family, and I'll offer Sarah's ticket to either my sister or another family member. I haven't had time to read everyone's comments, but I have answered a few. Right now I'm just sort of making myself sick by drinking cup after cup of coffee and trying to distract myself until the day gets on enough where I can reach out to Marty. Edit for I just did morning stand-up. My stomach is doing flip-flops from drinking about 2 parts of coffee since I got here so early and I absolutely cannot focus and concentrate. I feel like I can't do anything really from my side until I tell Marty what I know. So I'm just going to take a sick day and drive over to his house and see if he's around. If not, I'll call him and track him down. Marty is a teacher who is on break right now, and Evelyn works a 9 to 5 like me. So odds are good this works out. Wish me luck. Read it. Edit 5 got to Marty's house a little after 10 a.m. He had just put his daughter down for a nap and we had a long, frankly, brutal talk in the kitchen. Basically, he suspected this for a couple of months now, but Evelyn has been very good at covering her tracks. Obviously, with the assistance of Sarah and a couple of their mutual friends. I unfortunately do not have all 6 months of text messages, just a couple of dozen screenshots I sent to myself from Sarah's phone, but I gave him what I have and offered to help him however I could. I am a field analyst in the ICU department of a mid-sized insurer specializing in workers' compensation fraud. So I know a few things and a few people. Anyway, I know working from my laptop and my almost brother-in-law's kitchen trying to salvage whatever I can. I'm going to have to talk to Sarah this evening and get the word out as fast as I can to my friends and family now that I know I won't screw Marty over. So far, I managed to rebook most of the honeymoon, although I had a problem with the ticket because there was flying under her maiden name and her carrier has a surname rule for name changes. Anyway, they did allow me to cancel and get a partial refund and rebook to my sister, who will be accompanying her 2 brothers and nieces to Florida in a couple of weeks. I'm holding off on canceling the venues until after I talk to Sarah because I don't want to tip anyone off until Marty gives us a chance to confront Evelyn. But I will absolutely be letting my family and friends know this afternoon sometime and beg them to keep it close. I'm basically in a frenzy right now canceling stuff I can cancel and I'm heading down to the bank in a few to open a new account and getting my bills and pay sorted out the finances. Some people have mentioned them, but it should be pretty good. The mortgage is in my name since we were not married and I have the bigger income. But Sarah did contribute about $20,000 versus my $60,000 towards a down payment. I will have to probably pay her out that money and some portion of the mortgage payments for the last 6 months, but it could be worse. P.S. How come so many are confused regarding brother and brother-in-law and sex? 6. I'm going to go silent for a while. This post has already been circulating around TikTok and has gone way beyond what I thought it ever would when I was freaking out in the middle of the night. First off, I want to say something here. I do not hate Sarah. I don't approve of what she did. I frankly find it repulsive and I am shocked by uncovering how two-faced she can be and how she treats people. But I don't hate her. I'm just incredibly sad about everything and that I am screwed. Part of my post is really the short time frame I have to work under. Basically, our relationship is in a state where I cannot get married to her. But we're supposed to get married in 2 weeks. Maybe if we had 2 months or better yet, a year or so to work through this, my approach might be vastly different, but I don't have that luxury. I have to move now. There's just no way I can enter into marriage with the state of our relationship, as in now. So I'm not going to. End of discussion, guys. Anyway, I will report back later tonight with how everything today went. Hopefully it will be less dramatic than I am anticipating. Edit 7. I have no idea how long a Reddit post can be, as I've never written such a long one before in my life. So I hope that this goes through. It's about 8:30 p.m. right now and I'm writing this for my buddy's house. His name is Mark and a former co-worker of mine that is also in the same field of work as I mentioned in a previous update. I work as a field analyst in this SEO department of a decent-sized insurance carrier. For people who don't know what that is, I'm basically a private detective. My job is to investigate what we think might be fraudulent claims in regards to workers' compensation. Anyway, as I kind of hinted at, Marty asked for my help in finding out who the other guy was that Evelyn was cheating on him with. All we had to go on was a name. Let's call him Jake. The first thing I did was not some major amount of sleuthing. It was basically just going through LinkedIn, trying to find the guy through Evelyn's connections. But that brought up nothing, which I thought was strange. Marty had told me that Evelyn was supposed to go out for drinks tonight after work and that she said she wouldn't be home until around 9 or 10. He didn't have to tell me what he suspected, since I pretty much understood right away. I told him that I would help him, but he needed to come with me. I then contacted my buddy Mark, explained the situation to him and had him agree to meet us later in the day. The first thing we did was drive over to Marty's parents' house so that they could watch their granddaughter. I don't know what Marty told them as I waited in the car. After that, we went to Evelyn's place of work. It's one of those large commercial strip mall type centers with all of these nondescript offices in a row and a large non-gated car park, which drove around until we found surveillance car. And then I had Marty unlock it with a second set of keys. I then gave Marty a voice-activated recorder and a GPS tracker to place in the car.